Hey, what's up, everyone? This is Bad5 on the Stone Destroyer channel. I'm actually pretty excited about the next few videos I plan on doing because the three videos are probably three. I can't really think of any more I'm gonna be doing in the immediate future, but they're three of my favorite vehicles in the Star Wars mythology. So I'm really excited about that, and I'm not going to really reveal what all of them are because I kind of want to, kind of keep a little bit of a surprise. Now, the first one I'm going to do right now, first off, I'm just going to say that this is probably going to be one of my longest, most drawn out in a way, like not in a bad way, in a good, like in an informative way, and also very detailed. Also, it's probably going to be one of the most edited videos I've ever done. Now, if I had like different clothes in the videos, it's because I want to really plan stuff out and make it the best I can. So I might like have to redo parts, might have to watch it back. So instead of doing it like I normally do, where I put a title across the bottom of the screen that says skip to this for the review. I'm going to do that in the description bar because there's going to be a few different ones I'm going to be talking about. Now, the vehicle I'm going to be reviewing today, or at least a couple different versions of it, is the Republic Gunship. This is one of my favorite Star Wars vehicles ever. In fact, I feel stupid because back when I worked at Toys R Us right after high school, there actually was a Republic Gunship, one of the Episode 2 ones. Just the regular one, not the Command Gunship, which I'm going to be getting into those in a few. They had it for quite a while, and I kept saying, I'm going to get it, I'm going to get it, I'm going to get it. And eventually, it just wasn't there. And someone had saw it up on the top shelf, and they bought it, so I was kicking myself for a long time after that. So when Episode 3 came out, I actually bought two. And because I wanted one for my Episode 3 troops and one for my Episode 2 troops, I actually painted one to look like the Command Gunship because it was a lot easier than trying to find the maroon paint to match the original. So, but like I said, I'm going to be going over some of that. But let me give some background on the gunships for those of you who don't know, because there are some younger collectors out there. And I've actually seen some videos from some younger collectors that are kind of interesting. And I think I'm going to link those in the description because I think I'm going to be making references to those. But obviously the gunships came out after Episode 2. And they released two different versions at first. They had the regular Republic gunship that was like a mostly maroon kind of color scheme. I mean, not like the whole ship. The ship was like a light gray, almost like a tan gray, and had maroon and then some green highlights. They also had a variant of that which had the same green highlights, but it had a black. They had black highlights, like the secondary color, and it was the same base. I mean, they were the same ship, essentially. And at this time, Hasbro was heavily into doing accessories. And they actually had a lot of really cool stuff. Like they had, the bubble turrets that were actually in scale with the ship, and they had some other stuff, which I'm going to be going over that, like going over, a lot of these accessories, because I do have, I believe all of them. If I don't, then I have most of them. So, but like I said, I'm going to be going over all of this stuff in one video. But again, I'm going to be leaving timestamps down in the description so you guys can see it. But anyway, and then Episode 3 came out. And what they did was they changed the gun. And actually, I hung it up from the ceiling. So, and I'm going to probably be showing the ones that are hanging up. But anyway, so what they did was they made it, instead of like a tannish color, they made it more of like a lighter gray. And they kind of swapped the colors. So instead of like being the secondary color, like a maroon type color, they actually made that green, and then the green they made maroon. So I guess that's to kind of change it up a little bit, maybe so people had two different ones, they could buy another one. And at this time they were both they came out at like $35 a piece, which was actually a pretty good price. And the Episode 3 one was the same exact ship as the Episode 2 one. So, so far, they're all the same, which I like that. I like having the ships all being the same, so then, like, they actually fit together. Unlike, how they've done the TIE fighters a lot. Like, some of them are blue, some of them have, like, a really light gray, some of them have a bluish gray and all this. I hate how that looks in my collection. I really wish they would just stick with certain things. But, anyway. Now, after that, they came out with a couple of pretty cool variants. one of the most popular ones was the Clone Wars one for the ARC Troopers, which had the Rancor face painted on it with the blue tiger stripes. I guess you would call it tiger stripes. I mean, Rancors didn't really have. And a lot of people didn't actually know that was supposed to be a Rancor face. It was, which I have that one as well. I'm going to be showing that a little bit later on. And they came out with that, and they also had a battle pack that I believe it came with the commander, and off the top of my head, I feel like an idiot for forgetting these, but it had their commander and the 4 ARC Troopers. Now, originally they had the red and the gray ARC Troopers just separately for the Clone Wars series. And I'm talking like movie ones, like where they were going into, basically expanded universe, essentially. But they had a gray and a red one, and then in this battle pack they were actually blue instead of gray. So they had that, and they had the battle pack, which had 4 of those, and then the red one. And so that was really cool. And then they also made 2 other variants. There's a Toys R Us exclusive and a Walmart exclusive, and they're essentially the same thing. And what you could do is you could actually fully enclose the ship, and I think they said for deployment outside of orbit, something like that. So, like, the doors would actually close, and I don't have either one of these, which sucks. I'd really like to get every variation eventually and actually complete them, but that will cost me a lot of money, because, I mean, the Gunships, the Episode 2 ones are about $200 a piece, and then to get the bubble turrets, those are about $50, so it's like $300 for one gunship. But anyway, and they also made the side doors, the blast doors, you could actually fully enclose instead of just, having the open part and then expanding it by pushing the button on the top. You could actually fully enclose it, which makes it so you actually can't put the bubble turrets in it and actually close it up. So if I do get those, I probably wouldn't have to get the bubble turrets. But anyway, and then now there's actually a Toys R Us exclusive, which I'm going to be going over the box too. And I recently just got this, obviously. And they actually, it's kind of a redo of the Episode 2 one, the original one. It's Toys R Us exclusive. And it has some different markings. So it is different than the first Episode 2 one that they released, which I think is great. And then, as you guys can see, it has the bubble turrets, which is great. And I don't want to gush too much right now, but when I first saw that they made these, I was ecstatic, because I didn't even know they were making them. But this comes with, the 2 bubble turrets, which that's great. And then it was the Episode 2 one, which really excited me because, like I said, I missed it. And then it comes with a pilot, a clone trooper, and Yoda. And the box is actually cool. And you know what? I think I'll just go over it right now instead of going really into detail, because it's, basically at the sides, it talks about the chain guns, which I hate that, and I'm going to be going into that later. They fire missiles. They should have just been guns, and in fact, that should have been a ball joint, but it shows the bubble turrets, opening cockpit, back's the same as the front, shows the blast doors opening, and then the guys you get with it, Yoda, clone pilot, clone trooper, and what else? And the cannons fire. So, I mean, that's pretty cool that each side, besides the back, has something different on it. And they actually show the action features. But the package is actually very nice. I think I'm going to keep this one, too. I keep a few of the, vintage packages that I think are a little bit nice. They even have the C-3PO and R2-D2 scene in there, and then, a bunch of battle droids, including a destroyer droid. So, yeah, this is a really cool toy. Now, the one bad part is it's almost 3 times the price of the original. The original, when it came out, was $34.99. And even, I think, up until the ARC Trooper gunship, I think they were $34.99. And now, this one is $119.99. Luckily, I got some Christmas money early, so I was able to pick one up. And it seems like because they're not the cheapest toys in the world, Toys R Us does seem to, not be able to sell them as quickly. Because Toys R Us, they do happen to have a lot of cool stuff, but it's super pricey, like the new Millennium Falcon, which is a lot bigger. It's not completely in scale or anything like that, but it was $250 when it came out. I know when it dropped down to 200, they started selling them, and I think it actually went down to 100, and they really started selling them then, because a lot of people wanted it because it was great. I didn't have the chance to pick that up. And then also the indoor AT-ATs, and I think even the Hoth AT-AT, I believe they were both Toys R Us exclusives, but since they were so expensive, they didn't really sell that quickly. But anyway, that was kind of a brief history, and I know some people can correct me on certain things. But I'm going to be going over a lot of the accessories and also some of my gunships. I'll actually show what's the original, like, complete gunship would have looked like. So anyway, when I get to that, I'm going to go ahead and just go into a lot of detail. So, yeah. I'll see you guys in just a second. Alright everyone, I apologize for the bad lighting, but this was essentially, and I'm going to go into detail on this, what you were going for back in the episode 2 days. And also, yes, I'm back on the dryer like I was in my last place, minus the good lighting. But, and again, this isn't the episode 2 version. This is the episode 3 one where I painted the green areas black. So, and then I think I actually painted the inside black too, just to keep the light from going through. But anyway, this was what you were after for the episode 2 version to make a complete gunship. Now, one of the first things you would do is you would buy 2 pilots, and I'm going to be reviewing the pilots later and actually showing the figures. And what you would get are these bubble turrets. Now, these are actually in scale, because one thing that people complained about a lot with this gunship is that it actually wasn't in scale. And it's not. It really is not that great in scale. Because if you guys remember in the movies, like, some had like this section cut out, and they would actually be able to drop an ATTE, and obviously this is not big enough to have an entire ATTE on it. So this bubble turret was actually in scale. Now, what they did to kind of go around that was you would get this for free. Well, not for free. So what they did was you would get these with the pilots. Now, the way they try to get around the problem of not being able to do the big bubble turrets is they had these little handles on there, so you'd basically like, control it with a clone trooper and, you know, make him direct it. You know, these pieces, you know, you could just kind of angle up, kind of popped off there, and you can have a clone trooper actually controlling that, shooting it. Now, it didn't go up and down, it just went left and right. But, which brings me to one thing. Some people complained about this section here. They said they wish you could put a clone trooper in there, even though I'm pretty sure, I am almost 100% certain on this, that there were no clone troopers in these. That these were actually just turrets that one of the pilots would control. And so, yeah, I'm pretty sure that's the case. So, yeah, these were actually the in-scale turrets, and I think I'm going to keep these on here because I basically replaced this. But I think I would keep these on here for like more like historical purposes. But the one thing that a lot of people didn't get was the speeder bike. Now, if I can show it, I think you guys can see that. There's actually slots for the feet of a speeder bike in there. Now, back then, Hasbro was really big on doing accessories. So there was actually this pack, and I actually have 2 of them, where you'd actually get a speeder bike clone trooper, which isn't the best looking, it's kind of out of scale, but it would actually have a speeder bike. Now, unfortunately, you can't really do a whole lot with this outside the speeder bike, and it kind of came with this lame weapon of this energy disc thing, and you could actually, like, throw it, and it didn't really work. It was kind of lame, but the cool thing was, I'm pretty sure I'm correct on this, it was the first version that actually had the removable helmet. I always thought it was kind of weird, because the eyes almost look red. They don't look really brown, and I was thinking, like, were they supposed to have red eyes? But you could also take off a lot of the pieces of armor. So that was kind of a cool little feature, but they did kind of screw up. Because in the instructions, it actually did say you could put this in here, and I was confused as to how to hook it in. I didn't realize there were these little slots for the feet, because in the movies, there were actually supposed to be 2. If this were in scale, you could have 2 speeder bikes, and they were going this way, in this ramp back here, well, one of the guns just shot off, this ramp would actually flip down. So, yeah, this is basically what you're going for. Okay, yeah, I'm missing the chin gun, it just shot off. But this is one thing that always kind of bothered me, these chin guns. I mean, I don't know why they did it like that, and then I mean, I guess, like, to pack it, they made it so you could take those off, but it should have been like a ball turret, and these weren't missiles in the movie. Also, I don't put the big missiles in here. I think it looks better without them, even though I should paint probably the insides black. Just never really got around to it. But this is basically what you were going for the original gunship, to make it complete. Now, there was a guy, this younger guy, who actually made a video, and I believe the video is called How to Fix Your Gunship. And I'm going to link that in the description, maybe get him a couple more views. But he was actually talking about these, like, oh yeah, I just thought these were cool turrets that came with it. Because, they actually did make it so you could just have it on its own. Like, you could just have this bubble turret and just make it, some kind of field turret. Sorry about the camera angle. I don't really have a good tripod. But anyway, you could just have this as a turret. It actually did shoot a missile, but I hate missiles on toys. So, but then, they actually show that, you could actually hook this in. There's just these little snaps in here. And yeah, you just hook it in. So this was basically the complete version back then. So, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and go on and review the next piece that just was really cool. And it just, I don't know, kind of set the gunships off for all of us. Now, the next thing that was introduced was this guy here. Now, years ago, before they produced these, people were actually making their own. What they would do is they'd take the mounting hardware brackets, whatever you want to call it, from the original ones, the ones that came with the first gunship pilots, and they would actually take the Christmas balls that you can actually pop open in half, and put stuff on the inside, decorate it yourself, and they would. Some people took foam, like craft foam, and they were making the surrounding areas to make it look like it was being held together. So they made them. Now, one little thing that was weird, and this is going to kind of play a role in here, is people were actually putting the clone pilots into the balls. Now, that's something that I don't understand. A lot of people have done it, and again, I really don't get it. If you watch the movie, I'll try to put up like a still image so you can see it's just a regular clone trooper. Now, years later, I was walking through, I believe it was Target, and I just kind of glanced in the Star Wars section to see if there was anything new, and I saw this. And I knew what it was right away, and I was like, oh my god, they actually produced it! I was so excited. I only saw one, but I had to have it, so I picked it up. Now, in this pack, you got, the bubble turret, which is already cool on its own, but it came with this stand, so I guess if you don't have the gunship, mostly like kids who want to play with it, you can still have this, or you can, take it off the gunship, because that's how they basically say, like, okay, you could be deployed separately, and you have, a stationary gunner. But, this just pops right off, which is good. This, you don't have to do much. You just take it right off. And it actually holds on pretty well. So that's a good thing. But, this was really exciting to get this. Now, there's a couple unfortunate parts about it. Basically, you turn it, you have to have it going in this way. It spins like that, but that doesn't really do anything. But you can't move it up and down. Now, this little joint in here would normally be able to do it, but I'm guessing there was some kind of structural issue that would prevent them from doing that. Now, it would have been great, but you can't. But it's not a big deal, especially since it's so heavy. It kind of hangs down anyway. But the pack, again, this is where the clone pilot thing comes into play. The pack actually came with 2 pilots, which, again, I don't know if, maybe they thought it was supposed to have a pilot, so if you bought 2, you have a pilot for your gunship, because it was, they were, the superposable clones rather than the original, especially since, it is a pain in the ass getting these things in here, especially considering the fact that is your opening right there. Yeah, if it would have, opened in half, that would have been a lot better, but to get their hands on these little controls, to get their feet right, it takes a lot of positioning. But I went ahead and put, some of my clone troopers with removable helmets in here, because, they're posable, and I kind of did an experiment, and these seem to be the ones that turned out the best. But yeah, it was a real pain in the ass getting these things in, so that's why I'm not going to take it out and show how it looks with the pilot. But, again, since it's not supposed to be a pilot, it does kind of suck, because instead of having, a normal trooper in there and then a pilot for your gunship, you have 4 pilots. So you can put, the pilots in there, but it wouldn't make much sense because they're not piloting anything. But nonetheless, it's awesome, and, this was something that was really exciting. I actually got 4. I wanted 6 because at the time I only had 3 gunships and I wanted to have it for all of them. But, I had to kind of throw the original style ball turrets, which again are the ones that are in scale, but I put those with my my ARC Trooper gunship, which I'm going to show that in this video. But I think I'll show like my complete gunships at the end. So that's it for this. So let's go ahead and get started with the new Republic Gunship, the re-released one in the episode 2 colors that comes with these. I don't have it all loaded up because I wanted to wait until after I had filmed the video to put all of it in, because I hang it up and I didn't want to put the cord on and do all of that because it's a real pain to have to mess with it. So that's it for this part. So next up we're going to look at the new gunship. Alright, so this is the gunship itself. Like I said, it has the red, the maroonish decoration, and then the as like the main color besides the main hull color, and then the green. I didn't put the old style, which I could just pop that off. I put the superposable clone troopers. Now one thing I don't like is how the secondary pilot, the co-pilot, has to be kind of leaning back. There really isn't a whole lot of way to get him looking forward. But then again, there's not much space because, again, this is not in scale. Now, I'm not sure if I mentioned this before or not because I had filmed the other parts the other day and I just kind of ran out of time to do it. This is one thing that's always bothered me. I hate these guns. I really wish they were in a ball. Now, that was something I was hoping that they would have corrected, because having a missile launch, I mean, if you launch the missile, you really have nothing. And they were guns in the movie, and you really have limited postability. But, I mean, it's not anything to really get that mad about. Now, one thing that's weird, if you look in here, I really can't get a close-up because my camera isn't that good, but I believe that they actually had to alter the molds to actually accommodate for those opening doors, because there are actually 2 little holes for the hinge for those doors, and then there's also this little kind of base in here that connects the two. That wasn't on the original. Neither were these. It was kind of just more solid. But so yeah, I think, like, and this is kind of like a different series, but the Star Trek models for the Excelsior, to make the Enterprise B, which was a refit Excelsior, they actually had to permanently alter the mold, which really sucks because now we can't, unless they completely start from scratch, we actually can't get an Excelsior model, even though they've been re-releasing stuff, but that's neither here nor there. Has nothing to do with this review. But again, it has the they didn't paint this area back in here for where the speeder bike goes, but one thing that they did keep, and I really don't get, is like this troop deployment thing. It's a little base. You can like you can like drop some troops off, but you really have to pack them in tightly and make sure they don't catch this ledge in here. But anyway, but you can see how the ball turrets kind of hang, and again, they're not in scale, and you can actually tell. I mean, they look a little bulky, but nonetheless, it's awesome, and I really don't care how they look. And again, I'm not sure if I mentioned this before, but these guns, some people said that, like they wish there would have been, you could put like a clone in there, and I think the Lego set you can, but that's not. But one little weird thing is these guns in here are actually clear, and I actually don't like that. I think it kind of takes away from it. I wish they would have been colored like they did on the other ones. But yeah, I mean, it's the old one. And one thing that they did omit, which is weird, is there used to be these strings back here, and like you can actually pull them down pretty far, but there's like a little clip, and you can have a clone hanging off, which I did at one point. I actually might do that on this one, even though wouldn't make a, well, I mean, they're not really going in outside of planets with these, but at least not that we saw. But it has the blast doors that open and close. Now, some of these, they were, I've seen like where they're not really even the way they open. In fact, I think one that my brother had was pretty uneven, but you just push this button at the top and they open up. Or, well, that one got blocked, but because I'm using this Tupperware thing that holds a lot of my bases just to hold up, so then the guns aren't being forced up. But, and again, I don't put the missiles, well, I shouldn't say again, I didn't say this before, but I don't put the missiles in because I just don't think it looks that cool. And they still kept the handle, which is actually somewhat convenient, so you could just kind of walk around with it. Also made it easier for kids to to carry it around, make it look like it's flying and all that. But they did add like battle damage. I believe this is like a slightly lighter gray than the original, but they had different decorations like the and these are stickers. Sorry, the furnace is about to go on, of course. But it's like a darker brown, which actually matches the tops. And then they also have like this battle droid. They also have this battle droid graphic here. And then some battle droids, I guess, they're kills. But still the, what later became the Imperial logo. But then they, threw on some blast damage. But this is it. So, and again, I mentioned this earlier, it does come with 3 figures. So I'm going to go ahead and review those as well, because they are pretty cool. But in some ways they're not. So we can go ahead and get started on that too. Alright, so the first figure we'll go over is the Yoda, which this is one of the better Yodas to come out. The lightsaber handle itself looks a little big in comparison. And he also came with his walking stick, which honestly is not a very good one. It looks almost like rolled up Play-Doh. It's not very detailed or anything, but hey, it's a free figure, and most people are going to put the lightsaber in his hand. But this is the one that had like the little force base. He has like the big hole in the bottom, so there'd be this thing that would make him like lift up with the force. Just a little clear part that you'd kind of turn the base and it would move up. But he has a peg hole in the foot, which helps with the gunship. But this is one of the better Yoda figures, but I'm not really big on a lot of the Jedi stuff. I have a few, but I don't have a ton. But definitely like one of the more action posed Yodas. So, that's always nice. Now, the next one is the Clone Pilot. Now, this is just a re-release of the original. My original is yellowed a bit, but one thing I don't like is like they kind of stand, the original ones kind of stand in this weird kind of cocked pose, like they're turned to their left instead of just standing straight up and down. There are a couple differences. Like the original one had a lot more battle damage, which, I mean, unless they're fighting on the field, doesn't make a lot of sense. If they're in a gunship, how are they going to get that? And then also there's a couple other little paint differences, like the Imperial logos on the helmet. The new one has red, the old one had black. And I've seen them both ways. The chest piece is slightly different, like there's blue instead of black on that one place. And then the new one, the paint isn't as good. And also this little yellow stripe. The original one had more of a gold kind of look to it. And the new one is more yellow. But, like I said, it's a clean one. And this actually isn't a bad Clone Pilot, but it's not great either. It also came with a gun, which I was actually surprised with the weapons that came with this. Like, they're actually a lot better than their usual. Hasbro does some pretty terrible pack-in weapons a lot of times. But this actually, has the spot of gold on the stock there, or whatever that is. And then some silver as well. It doesn't really hold the gun that well, which you really don't need, and it's not that poseable, but the good thing is the new Black Series pilot is actually a lot better in some ways. Now, I don't think it's the best, but the Black Series one is still pretty easy to find. So you can find that one. It actually has a removable helmet. It's more poseable, and it's smaller, so it'll actually look better in the gunship. But, so yeah, I mean, if it's not that bad that it only came with one. I mean, it seemed like it would have been better to have 2 pilots, but, if there are kids playing with it, oh well. And again, I would give up all 3 of these figures for a speeder bike. I'd rather have that. And the last figure is your standard issue superposable clone trooper. This is not a removable helmet one, which I think is better in some ways, because that little part that sucks in on the cheek, the ones with the removable helmets, it kind of bulges out because, well, these aren't really, people aren't really wearing these, but it's a clean one. It has the peg holes on the feet because the originals didn't have that. And again, the gun is actually pretty decent. It actually has some painted details. Now, some details are missing. It's not as good as like the ultimate one that we got in like the evolution packs. They're different sizes. The evolution pack one is a bit smaller, a bit more in scale, and it looks a lot better. But nonetheless, this one is pretty cool. I mean, it's a nice one. Again, I was actually shocked at how well the weapons were. I mean, how well done the weapons were in this pack. They actually didn't cheap out like they usually do. And there's actually, you guys probably can't see it, but on the mouth, the paint got a little messed up. And then one other little thing that, it's just a little gripe. It doesn't really mean a whole lot of anything. The eyepieces, to me, should have been super reflective, because in the movie they were. But on this, it's, you know, kind of, it's like semi-gloss, so it's not terrible, but I think I actually might go and touch that up, because I have on a few, like especially my Stormtroopers. And they actually put the red spot on the back, because I believe there was supposed to be a light back there. It looks like a light in the movie. But this one, you know, it's just the regular superposable clone trooper. So, anyway. So now what I'm going to go ahead and show are a couple of my complete gunships. They're hanging up, so I'm not going to be able to get like the best camera angles. It's going to be a little shaky because I can't use my tripod. Well, I can, but holding it is kind of annoying to me. So I'm going to go ahead and show that, and that's going to be the last things I'm going to show in this video. So anyway, let's go ahead and get started on those. So the first one up is my ARC Trooper gunship. Now, and I can't believe I'm forgetting the commander's name, but like I said, I had a couple of the packs of the Hunt for Grievous battle pack, so, you know, I have quite a few packed in there, and since I have the bubble turrets, I put the heavy troopers in there to make it kind of fit together. But this one is an awesome looking gunship. I mean, when you first see it, I think it's cooler, and the novelty kind of wears off. Like the guns in there, the lighting isn't great, but they're actually blue, so that's nice. There are a couple stickers I haven't put on yet, and I really should. Now, one thing is, they actually release clone pilots that match this. Like, they actually have blue stripes, and I don't have the co-pilot one right now, but I'm getting that for Christmas. So, yeah, this will be complete, finally. Well, minus the speeder bike. I'm not going to put a speeder bike in there. But I can show the other side. Yeah, there we go. I have the heavy trooper with the quad gun, and some more ARC troopers there, and then another heavy trooper. But yeah, like I said, some of the stickers I just haven't put on yet, but I'm going to. But yep, this is finally complete. This is the one that I really want to complete because I never had the bubble turrets for it. But I can go ahead and show the episode 3 one. Now for this one, since it's just the episode 3 regular one, I didn't do like any kind of modifications. I just wanted to kind of do like a generic one with, you know, just the clone commander, as they call it. I did the green one to kind of match the green paint scheme. And, you know, just regular clone troopers, and then one of, like, the heavy troopers. And, yeah, just regular clones of the bubble turrets. Getting around the other side is going to be a little too difficult, so I'm not going to do it. But this one, because I try to make them all look different, so all the guns are just facing forward, including the bubble turrets. But that one I actually did put the speeder bike in. And one little modification I actually did to this was, you might be able to see it, I put a cord across there, because in the movie they actually had a line that they could like just, you know, hang on to, and I actually put a line in there like he's actually hanging on to it. It's just like a thin piece of elastic, not too thin. It wasn't like from your underwear or anything. It was, you know, a decent size that's actually made for crafts. But that was one little modification I did, but that was it. I didn't do any kind of painting. And the pilots I put, you know, just your standard pilots in, which I'm not sure if I mentioned this in the video earlier. One thing that kind of pissed me off was when they made these, instead of coming with, you know, the ball turrets that they had at the time, you know, just the small ones in scale, they came with this. That little cannon thing right there. Which, I mean, wasn't like the worst accessory you could include with it, but you couldn't do anything with it. I mean, you can't put a guy in there. The missile didn't even really shoot. You kind of had to flick it out, and it was kind of, I don't know, kind of stupid. But, you know, you can use it for, like, displays and stuff, you know, have it as, you know, just cannons, but I don't understand why it came with that. But anyway, you know, so this is, you know, the gunship has to be probably my favorite, well, my favorite prequel vehicle besides the ATT, which I don't have, but I really want to get. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed that. You know, I had a lot of fun making this video because, like I said, this is definitely one of my top favorite vehicles. And I'm really glad that they released this, because it seems like even people who weren't really too big on the prequels, you know, even thought this ship was cool. You know, even though, like I said, I think I said earlier in the video, some people thought it looked like Jar Jar Binks from the front. Like, from the side it looked cool, but from the front not so much. But, you know, honestly, I've always thought it was a really cool design. And, you know, it's definitely one of my favorite toys. And now I have 4, but like I said, I'd really like to try to get all of them. Even the ones, like, with the, you know, panels and all that, especially if I keep the panels closed, which I could do. I don't really have to get the bubble turrets for those. So I guess now all I need is, you know, the two episode 2 ones, and then get 4 more of those bubble turrets, which would suck because they're going for about $50 a piece on eBay, and I think on Amazon, I think like from some of the third-party sellers. But, you know, nonetheless, if I ever do get those, that'll be awesome. And if I'm still making videos at that point, because it's probably going to be years before I can get those, then yeah, I can show my complete gunship collection. But then again, Hasbro, they seem to want to keep on re-releasing stuff, which to me is fine, but kind of sucks because you have to spend even more money. But anyway, again, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I know I did. So, this is Bad 5 on the Stone Destroyer channel, and you guys have a good one.